Okay. Very good evening, students. I hope you all are doing fine. Very good evening, everyone. Okay, students. So let's start this session. First of all, I welcome each one of you to my YouTube session on the Indian Contract Act 1872. So let's start with my brief introduction first. My name is Sandeep Khatri. And as you can see, my areas of specializations are the constitutional law, criminal law, commercial law, family law, and law of torts. I have also shared the link of my profile, so please do follow that to get all the updates about my special classes and my plus courses. I have also shared the link of my Telegram channel where you can connect with me and ask questions. And at last, I have mentioned my code, that is KHATRILIVE, which you can use to get free access of all the special classes available on Unacademy app, and also to get 10% discount for all your plus courses. So this was about me. Very good evening, Ashmita. So I request everyone, please be attentive, and this is going to be an interactive session. So students, this is our second class on Indian Contract Act. We are already done with the basic introduction, the 3 golden formulas, how one can reach to a valid contract. The whole story starts from proposal, then it's acceptance, finally came to promise, and after adding the consideration part, that becomes agreement, and finally, because of section number 10, it becomes a valid contract. So what we are going to do today, today I'm going to complete the important concept of section number 4, students. So before starting section number 4, the whole concept of section number 4, if you have any questions from the introduction part or anything that is related to your Indian Contract Act, you may ask. And if no questions at all, quickly give me a thumbs up. I'll straight away start with section number 4. Yes, please. Yes, Ashmita, anything you want to ask? And if it's all clear, just quickly give me a thumbs up. I'll straight away start with the whole concept of section number 4. And at the end, we are going to discuss some of the important MCQs related to section number 4. So this is what we all going to cover in this session. Okay, students, so now I'm starting with section number 4, the basic introduction. See, as I have already told you, the 3 golden formulas, it started with proposal. And when we say proposal, we mean section number 2A, that comes up with all the essentials of the concept of proposal, right? So one of the important essential of proposal is signifies, which means communication. Let's understand this whole concept with the help of a simple example. Suppose there is Mr. A, and he wants to give a proposal to Mr. B. Now, the whole idea of giving this proposal, first it will come into the mind of Mr. A that I want to give so and so proposal to Mr. B. So, if he is not communicating the proposal, if Mr. A is not communicating his proposal to Mr. B, can this be a valid proposal? The answer is no. And if there is no valid proposal, there is no case of or no chance of the concept of acceptance. And if no acceptance, no promise, which leads to no agreement and no contract. And that is the importance why there should be a valid proposal. So out of all the essentials, one of the essentials that has been mentioned in 2A is signifies. Now let's go into the detail of this term signifies, which means communication. Now how can one communicate with another? So in 2021, how we usually communicate, whether it is your WhatsApp, email, or your Facebook Messenger, okay, or even the direct talk, that is also, if the person is standing next to you, so that is also, you can directly talk to him. Okay, so these all are the ways in which Mr. A can communicate with Mr. B. So that is your communication part, and that is your section number 3 also, you can read with this. Okay, very good evening, Mosmi and Amit. I have just started the introduction of section number 4. Okay, now with this part, now I'm jumping to the next question. What about B? Now, the moment Mr. B got the proposal, what he needs to do? Now, he has two options. First option, if he wants to accept or if he wants to reject. That is completely a choice of Mr. B. Because students always do remember, proposal is something which is always in the form of request, which means Mr. A is only going to request Mr. B with his proposal. Now it is the complete discretion of Mr. B whether to accept or reject it. And what if Mr. B don't even want to reply, which means he is silent, he is in no mood to give him the reply that whether he wants to accept or reject. That is also an option, and this means that he wants to reject it. So that is these all are the three options of Mr. B. But we in our case are interested in this one, that what if Mr. B wants to accept? Then in that circumstances, he needs to communicate his acceptance to Mr. A. And then there again comes the role of significance. When it comes to acceptance, we do have section 2b, and when it comes to section 2b, one of the essentials is again signifies. So that is something which is common, which means if Mr. B got the proposal and he in his mind itself say, okay, I'm going to accept it, but he is not communicating about the proposal, that would not amount a valid acceptance. And if there is no acceptance, it means it no promise, and no promise leads to no agreement, and finally no valid contract. So in both our concepts, the one thing that is in common, students, here, that is signifies, and there comes the role of section number 3 as well. So communication is important. I hope everyone is clear with till this. Anything which you are not clear with, you may ask questions as well, students, in the comments. Very good evening, everyone. Parminder, very good evening. Okay, now I'm taking one simple example to conclude whatever we have discussed. So I've started. Let's take an example. Mr. A give this proposal to Mr. B that I want to sell my house to you in 25 lakh rupees. And Mr. B said to Mr. A, yes, I'm interested. I will buy your house in 25 lakh rupees. So this is the basic example of the term proposal and acceptance with the help of communication. Now they are directly talking about this. Fine. So they are standing next to each other. So now let's make it a bit complicated. Moving to the next slide, students. What if Mr. A, the same example, but Mr. A resides in Delhi and Mr. B resides in Mumbai. And just assume that we are talking about 1990s here, and Mr. A actually writes a letter. Mr. A writes a letter to Mr. B. So which means section 4 applies only in the case of inter absentees, not inter presentees. Now what is inter presentees and inter absentees? Inter presentees means the parties are standing next to each other. Fine. Inter absentees means they are not next to each other. They need to communicate through letters. So that is the only time when there comes the role of section number 4. Now today is 20th December. On 20th December, if Mr. A writes a letter to Mr. B who is in Mumbai, so he is giving the proposal here. Now the first question, when will the communication of proposal will be completed? So Mr. A writes a letter on 20th December. Mr. B received that letter on 24th December. So anyone who likes to answer in the comments? When will the communication of proposal will complete? So the answer is whenever Mr. B will receive that letter, that is going to be the date as per to your section number 4 when the communication of proposal will completed. So the answer is 24th December. And now we can read section number 4 as well with that. So I'm reading for you. Communication when complete. I've already told you the importance of communication in the previous slide. The communication of a proposal is complete when it comes to the knowledge of the person to whom it is made. And when this letter comes into the knowledge of Mr. B, that is on 24th of December. So this was your communication of proposal. Now coming to the next question, students. When will the proposal of acceptance will be completed? Question number 2. When will the communication of acceptance will be completed? So now let's continue with my same example. If Mr. B writes a letter of acceptance on 25th December and posted this letter, and this letter reaches to Mr. A on 28th of December. Now the question is when the communication of acceptance is complete. So there can be two answers of this. Communication of acceptance against proposer. Against proposer. And the next one is against acceptor. Now against proposer, who is the proposer here? In our example, Mr. A is the one who is the proposer. So as per to our example, anyone who likes to answer? When will the communication complete? Communication of acceptance will be completed as against Mr. A, which is as against the proposer. The moment, the day when he writes the letter and when the day he posted the letter. The moment Mr. B posted the letter, the communication of acceptance is completed against Mr. A, which means now he cannot revoke this. As against the proposer when it is put in the transmission. So the date is 25th December. And against Mr. B, and when we say against Mr. B, that is on the date of 28th December. Okay, now I'm concluding this second concept as well, students. My question was, when will the communication of acceptance will be completed? So we can divide it into two parts, against proposer and against acceptor. Against proposer, it will get completed on the day it is posted. So that is 25th December. Against acceptor, when it will come into the knowledge of Mr. A, so that is on 28th December. So any questions from section 4, para 1 or para 2? Yes, please. And if it's all clear, quickly give me a thumbs up. I'll move on to the next one. Very good evening, everyone. Ritu, very good evening. Yes, students, I'm waiting for your questions. And if there are no questions at all, just quickly give me a thumbs up. I'll move to the next topic, which is the next one is revocation. Amit, as of now, I have discussed when will, in our example, Mr. A, who is in Delhi, writes a letter to Mr. B, who is in Mumbai. Mr. A writes a letter on 20th of December. Okay, and Mr. B received that letter 24th of December. So the question number 1 was, when will the communication of proposal will be completed? So the answer is when Mr. B received that letter, that is 24th. So the answer is 24th December. Now Mr. B writes a letter of acceptance on 24th December and posts that letter on 25th. Okay, so 25th December is the date when the communication of acceptance will be completed against proposer. And who is proposer? Mr. A. And when he will receive the letter of acceptance on 28th of December, then against acceptor, which means against B, the communication of acceptance will be completed on 28th of December. Anything else, Amit? Okay, Mosmi is clear about it. Now coming to the last part of section number 4, students. The last part is about revocation. Now what is revocation? What is the concept of revocation? Let's take an example. If Mr. A gives a proposal to Mr. B, and now Mr. A is waiting for the acceptance. Okay, and Mr. B is still thinking about this, that whether he wants to accept this or he wants to reject this. In this scenario, what Mr. A will do? Now Mr. A is like, okay, I'm no more interested in giving this proposal. And what if B is still thinking whether Mr. A can revoke the proposal or not? So revoking is ending the proposal, which means whatever proposal Mr. A has given to B, if Mr. A is no more interested, then he can revoke the proposal. But till what moment he can revoke? Always do remember, if there is the communication of acceptance got completed. I'm repeating myself, if communication of acceptance got completed. After that, Mr. A cannot revoke. Why? Because it has become a promise that will lead to an agreement and a valid contract. If Mr. A is backing out after it has become a contract, that would amount breach of contract. But if Mr. B has not, finalized about the acceptance till now, or the communication of acceptance has not completed against the proposer, till that moment, Mr. A has all the options to revoke his proposal. Similarly, a concept from the end of, okay, first let me take questions from till this point. Yes, students, anything which you are not clear with till now? This is the first part of revocation. I have explained in the context of Mr. A, the proposer. Okay, now I'm telling you the story from Mr. B. Okay, perfect, Amit. Now let's think the same concept of revocation from B's end. What if B has made the acceptance, but the communication of acceptance has not completed? In that scenario, whether B has the option to revoke the acceptance, the answer is again yes. B has all the options. The answer is B has all the options to revoke his acceptance, but till when? Till the communication of acceptance has not been completed against him. Fine. So let's take a simple example now. I have just explained you the concept of revocation. Now we will do a simple example. Suppose Mr. A writes a letter. This is the letter, and this is a letter of proposal. It's a proposal to Mr. B. Okay. And this letter has been sent on 20th of December. Now, the proposal will complete when he will receive the letter, and the letter has been received on 24th of December. Okay. Now Mr. A is thinking about this. that I should not have made this proposal because of any XYZ reason. Okay, we are not concerned with those reasons, whatever reasons Mr. A has. And Mr. B is still thinking about this, whether he wants to accept or whether he wants to reject. Now, let's take an example of this one. Mr. A writes a letter of acceptance. On 28th of December. But if before that Mr. B got another letter of revocation this time, and this he has received on 27th December. Now you tell me whether this will amount to a contract or not now. Now because the communication of acceptance has not been completed till now, it means, and letter of revocation came on 27th of December, it means that this will not amount to a valid contract. There is no contract. Why there is no contract? Because the proposal has already been revoked. And if the proposal has been revoked, there can be no acceptance. And if no acceptance, no promise, further no agreement and no contract. Now, let's take another example in itself. What if on 28th of December, this letter has not been received? Now just assume this letter has not been received, and on 28th of December, what if Mr. B writes a letter of acceptance to Mr. A, and he posted that letter on 28th of December. If Mr. B posted this letter on 28th of December, it means the communication of acceptance has been completed against Mr. A, which means now Mr. A cannot revoke. And if suppose this letter of revocation reached him after 28th, that is supposed on 29th, now this means there is no letter of revocation will not be considered. The acceptance has already been done. It is promised, and we will consider that as a valid contract. Any questions till now? Now I'll take the same kind of an example on behalf of Mr. B. What if B wants to revoke his acceptance? Yes, please. Anything which you are not clear with till now? Okay, I'm not getting any questions. So moving forward, the same example I'm taking, but now on the behalf of Mr. B. Now let's assume Mr. B writes a letter of acceptance. Okay. And this letter of acceptance on 20th of December to Mr. B. To Mr. A. To Mr. A. On 20th of December. And this letter will reach to Mr. A on 25th of December. In this example, after writing this, after posting this letter of acceptance, Mr. B is now like, I should not have sent this. I'm not interested in making this contract. But he has already posted the letter. So which means now Mr. B writes a telegram on 21st December of rejection. Now there can be two circumstances. If the telegram reaches to Mr. A before this letter on 25th, or after this 25th, if this is before 25th, that will be considered as no acceptance. But if after 25th, that will be treated as a valid contract, and this telegram would not have any effect. This is the overall concept of your revocation as per to section number 4 as well. So anything which you are not clear with from section number 4? Yes, you can read section 4, and if any para number 1 which talks about the revocation of proposal, para 2, para 1 which talks about the communication of proposal, para 2 which talks about the communication of acceptance, and para 3 which talks about the communication of revocation of proposal and acceptance. Anything which is not clear. Yes, Amit, you can use the statement of Anson here, which means if there is a proposal and it met with acceptance, that will amount to promise. And after this, you cannot revoke. You cannot revoke. Revocation will not take place after promise. Revocation will only take place for proposer if the proposal of if the communication of acceptance has not been completed, and acceptance can also be revoked if the communication of acceptance has not been completed against him. That's it. Okay, I have got all the thumbs up. So let's solve some questions, MCQ here, and let's see how many of you can easily answer that. After that, I'll come to the next topic, but before that, let's solve these MCQs. Question number 1. Let's see how many of you can answer now. From section number 4. A proposes by letter to sell a house to B at a certain price. The communication of the proposal is complete. Yes. Answer in the comments. First one to answer correctly, Mosmi, followed by Kajal, Amit, Vishakha, Parminder, and I guess everyone's answer is correct. This is from your section number 4. The question was the communication of proposal is complete when B receives the letter. Okay, now I am making this question a bit difficult. So let's see how many of you can answer that now. What if we have two options? Okay, suppose option number C is when B read the letter and when B receives the letter, then what would be the answer? I'm just changing one of the option, that is option number C of the same question. The question remains the same, all the other option remains the same. Only I'm changing one option, and that is when B read that letter. So suppose B ने receive किया Monday को, उसने read किया Tuesday को. When B reads the letter, so what is going to be the answer then? Question number 1. And yes. Okay, now Kajal is saying C, Vishakha is saying C, Parminder is still answering D, so which means there is confusion. Mosmi is saying C, okay. Anyone else? Yes. Amit is also saying C. When he will come to know. Okay, Amit. Amit is also giving the reasoning. Anyone else who wants to try? Okay. Ritu is also saying C. Okay, students, let me tell you the correct answer. Only one student has answered correctly, and that is Parminder Kaur. Parminder, correct answer. Now let me explain this concept to you as well. I'm explaining the same concept now. See, the question is when the communication of proposal will complete, right? This is the question. And the options are first option on 25th, or second option on 26th. On 25th, he received the letter, and on 26th, he reads the letter. Okay. Now, if we go back to section number 4, It says proposal is complete when it comes to the knowledge of the person to whom it is made. I'm repeating myself. The answer lies in the para 1 of section number 4, which says the communication of proposal is complete when it comes to the knowledge of the person to whom it is made. And if you need to choose an option between these two, उसकी knowledge में कब आया? On 25th or on 26th? You answer in the comments. Yes, everyone who has answered the option number C. Yes. Kajal, Amit. Very good evening, Mahabir. Okay, now I'm concluding the answer, students. उसकी नॉलेज में लेटर के बारे में 25th को ही आ गया था. अगर हम ये लॉ बनाते हैं कि सर जब उसने रीड किया जब उसकी नॉलेज में आया, जब उसने रीड किया जब उसकी नॉलेज में आया, तो अब उसने 25th को रीड किया या 26th को रीड किया या रीड ही नहीं किया. हाउ विल यू गेट टू नो अबाउट दिस? यू कैन गिव एविडेंस इन द कोर्ट ऑफ लॉ दैट व्हेन ही रिसीव्ड द लेटर. आप उसके ऊपर थोड़ी ना छोड़ सकते हो कि वो जब रीड करेगा. रीडिंग इज नॉट कंपल्सरी, ना नॉलेज इज कंपल्सरी. नॉलेज उसकी 25th को ही आ गई थी. अब आप मुझे बताइए, this is the basic principle of jurisprudence that you can never, आप कभी भी पर्सन पार्टी के ऊपर लॉ को नहीं छोड़ सकते कि जब वो रीड करेगा 25, 26, 27. नो, जब उसकी नॉलेज में आ गया था लेटर तो 25th को उसकी नॉलेज में आ गया था. अब उसने 25th को ही रीड किया या 26th को रीड किया. हाउ विल यू गेट टू नो? इसका मतलब जो भी पार्टी कहेगी आपको वो मानना पड़ेगा कोर्ट में. वो कहेगा मैंने 27th को रीड किया तो हम 27th को मानेंगे फिर. नो, दिस इज नॉट हाउ थिंग्स वर्क. जब उसकी नॉलेज में आ जाएगा, नॉलेज में उसकी 25th को ही आ गया था. एंड दैट इज व्हाई द आंसर विल रिमेन द सेम, दैट इज डी. Clear hai? Or you want more explanation on this? So I've given you two reasons for that. Coming back to the questions, students. So that was your question number 1. Now moving to the next one. Question number 2. Yes. B accepts A's proposal by a letter sent by post. The communication of acceptance is complete as against B. When will the communication of acceptance will complete as against B? Okay, first one to answer, Amit, followed by Kajal, A, Ritu, A. Okay, Parminder is saying C. Okay, Mosmi is also saying C. Okay, so there is again a kind of a confusion on this one. So I'm explaining the question. I think question आपने अच्छे से read नहीं किया है. See, B accepts A's proposal by a letter sent by post. The communication of acceptance is complete as against B. तो B कौन है? B is the one who is the acceptor, और communication of acceptor against acceptor. एक्सेप्टर की बात हो रही है. बी ने एक्सेप्ट किया है. एक्सेप्टर के अगेंस्ट कम्युनिकेशन कब कंप्लीट होता है? जब उसकी नॉलेज में आ जाए या जब उसने पोस्ट किया हो. यस, एनीवन हु वांट्स टू चेंज देयर आंसर नाउ? आई होप क्लियर, मौसमी एंड परमिंदर. सो दैट इज व्हाई द आंसर इज व्हेन द लेटर इज रिसीव्ड बाय ए, जब मिस्टर बी के अगेंस्ट जो है वो कंप्लीट होगा. सो द आंसर इज ए, when the letter is received by A. Okay. Next. Now the same question, but this is against A कब complete होगा? The communication of acceptance is complete as against A. please read the question carefully. You have to first figure out whether you are figuring out the communication of against the acceptor or against the proposer. First one to answer correctly, Kajal, followed by Mosmi. Yes, what about others? Ritu, C. Amit, C. And everyone's answer is correct, students. Here we are talking about the communication of acceptance is complete as against A. Now, who is A? A is the one who is the proposer in our example, in this statement. So, against proposer कब complete होगा? When the letter is posted by B. So, C is completely correct answer. Done? Moving to the next. A revokes his proposal by telegram. The communication of revocation is complete as against A. Choose the most appropriate option. I have just explained all the concepts, students. Amit A, Ritu A, Kajal C, परमिंदर A, मौसमी A. अब देखिए, ध्यान से सुनिएगा स्टूडेंट्स. मैं पहले क्वेश्चन एक्सप्लेन कर रहा हूं एंड लेट्स सी हाउ मेनी ऑफ यू कैन चेंज योर आंसर आफ्टर दैट. प्लीज डू अंडरस्टैंड द क्वेश्चन केयरफुली. A revokes his proposal by telegram. Okay, so A is the one who is revoking. A is the one who is doing the revocation. Okay, so the communication of revocation is complete against A. मतलब both side you are asking about. A is the one who is making the revocation. A is the one who जिसका हम पता कर रहे हैं कि किसके अगेंस्ट में communication complete हुआ है. So both side it is A. So against the person who is making it. अब communication कब complete होगा? इसके against. Anyone who wants to change their answer? There is only one student who have answered correctly and that is Kajal. Kajal, C is the correct answer when the letter is posted by A. When the letter is posted by A. So A का revocation कब complete होगा? Against A. जब उसने लेटर को पोस्ट कर दिया, communication of revocation against him got completed. Anyone who is not clear with this? Question number 4. Okay, I'm explaining this with the help of one example. I'm explaining this concept, students, क्योंकि mostly students का correct नहीं था ये answer. Fine. Suppose Mr. A is writing a letter. He is writing a letter and letter of revocation. Letter of revocation. Revocation किसके लिए? जो भी इसने प्रपोजल दिया था, now he wants to revoke this. लेटर किसको जा रहा है? B को जा रहा है. तो अब यहां पे दो क्वेश्चंस अराइज होंगे. Two questions. Question number 1. When will the communication of revocation will complete against A? Against A कब complete होगा इस revocation का? और दूसरा क्वेश्चन होगा against B कब होगा? So always do remember when we are talking about against A, तो जैसे ही इसने जब भी पोस्ट किया लेटर को, तभी इसके अगेंस्ट जो है रिवोकेशन का कम्युनिकेशन कंप्लीट हो जाएगा. एंड व्हेन इट कम्स टू अगेंस्ट बी, when it will come into his knowledge, when this will come into his knowledge. Anyone who is not clear with this chart? Yes, please. Got? Chalo. Next पे आते हैं students. This is your question number 5 now. A revokes his proposal by telegram. The communication of revocation is complete as against B. I hope now you can easily answer. I have just explained the whole concept. There should not be any problem in this one now. Yes, students, answer. And yes, Amit, correct answer. Kajal, correct answer. Mosmi, correct answer. A is the correct answer. Why? Because now A is the one who is revoking his proposal by telegram. Now we are asking about B. तो B के against कब होगा? जब B को letter मिलेगा. When the letter is received by B. So A is the correct answer. Okay. Communication is an essential for. I guess these are the most easiest ones, students. Communication is an essential for proposal, acceptance, both, none of the above. First one to answer correctly, Amit, followed by Kajal and Mosmi. Students, whenever you are going to write your answers on proposal or acceptance, one of the essential is going to be communication. Why? Because in this class itself, I have told you that the term signifies has been used in section 2A and section 2B. So communication is important. So the answer is C, both. Everyone's answer is correct. Now let's see how many of you can answer this. A proposes by a letter sent by post to sell his house to B. B accepts the proposal by a letter sent by post. A may revoke his proposal. Choose the most appropriate option. Students, do write the question number as well before your answer, because I got confused कि आपने अभी 6 का आंसर दिया है या 7 का आंसर दिया है. Okay, so just please, humble request, just do write the question number and then whatever the answer is. Okay, I got the answer from Kajal, Amit, Ritu, and yes, students, everyone's answer is correct. At any time before or at the moment when B posts his letter of acceptance, but not afterwards. So the correct answer here is A. At any time before or at the moment when B posts his letter of acceptance but not afterwards. Students, do remember this. Why this is important? B posts his letter at any time before or at the moment. B posts his letter of acceptance. Which means because the moment B posts his letter of acceptance, the communication of acceptance will be completed against A the moment he posted it. That is why at any time before or at the moment. That is why the answer is A. स्टूडेंट्स, क्या ये स्टक हो गया है मेरे एंड पे? यस, आंसर ऑफ क्वेश्चन नंबर 7 इज ए. सो मोस्टली प्लीज डू अ रिफ्रेश. ठीक है, मेरे एंड से इशू होगा तो सभी का स्टक हो जाएगा. ठीक है, चलिए. ओके, एनी क्वेश्चन फ्रॉम क्वेश्चन नंबर 7? आई गेस वी कैन मूव टू द नेक्स्ट वन. सो लेट्स मूव टू द नेक्स्ट. Communication of proposal may take place through WhatsApp, email, message, all of the above. I think one of the easiest question you can think of. Okay. First one to answer correctly, Kajal. Okay, Amit has also answered. So Amit and Kajal. Parminder, correct answer. Yes, everyone's answer is correct. That is D, all of the above. Which of the following statement is correct? Which of the following? This is fooling statement, students, correction. Which of the following statement is correct? This is again a good question, students. Conceptual question, not an easy one. So let's see how many of you can answer this correctly. Okay, first one to answer correctly, Kajal, followed by Parminder and Ritu. And yes, students, A is the correct answer. A proposal may be revoked by only promisor. Now, who is a promisor? Who is a promisee? Section 2C answers that question. Promisor is the one who is making the proposal. So a proposal may be revoked by the only that person, who has made the proposal. So that is why answer A is correct. Promisee cannot, revoke the proposal. Ritu, Amit, correct answer. Moving to the next. A contract may be, do write down the section number as well from where this question has been asked. A contract may be. Okay, first one to answer correctly of question number 10, Amit, followed by Kajal and Parminder. Parminder has mentioned the section number as well. That is section number 9. And yes, a contract may be express and implied both. Express, which means oral, and written as well. Implied, which means by the conduct as well. So that is your question number 10. And yes, students, now anything which you are not clear with. Now I'll conclude this class, and after that I'll make some important announcements. Yes, please. Anything which you are not clear with still. Okay, let me tell you something, students. Please do read section number 4 with illustrations. Most of the questions which I have asked in this class were basically from the illustrations of section number 4 and section number 5. Okay, so section number 5 is again important, the revocation of proposal and acceptance. Okay, and after that, before ending this class, I have one more special question for all of you. Okay, let's see how many of you can answer this. Suppose, student, again important, this is one of your PYQ, previous year questions from the mains examination, and this is the question was, Mr. A writes the letter of proposal. Okay, Mr. A writes a letter of proposal to Mr. B. Okay, and Mr. B writes a letter of acceptance to Mr. A. Okay, now suppose this letter has been reached to Mr. A. letter of acceptance reached to Mr. A on 20th December. And he writes that letter on 15th December. And he sent a letter of rejection as well on 16th December. Letter of rejection. And this was basically a telegram, ताकि वो जल्दी पहुंच जाए. Now this letter of rejection and letter of acceptance both reached to Mr. A on 20th December. Now, you please tell me, if we answer कि we will accept the letter of acceptance, then this will be treated as a contract. And if you are saying कि sir letter of rejection को priority मिलेगी, so there is no contract. So what is the answer? Yes, I hope everyone is clear with the question, and if not, please do write. Yes. Anyone who is not clear with the question, please do write in the comments. I'll repeat myself, but I want answers from each one of you. Thank you, Amit, for the compliment, and Kajal. Okay, I'm repeating myself, Amit. See, the question is very simple. Mr. A, please, I'm repeating the question. Mr. A writes a letter of proposal to Mr. B. Now, Mr. B writes a letter of acceptance on 15th December, writes a letter of rejection on 16th December. So, this was basically a telegram. Now, Mr. A received both letter of acceptance and letter of rejection at the same time. Now, we will consider this a contract or no contract, because if you are saying we will treat this as a contract, this will be treated as key letter of acceptance. So that is, you are giving priority to this one. So this will be a contract. If you are giving priority to letter of rejection, this will be treated as no contract. So what is going to be the final answer? There will be a contract or no contract. Yes, with reasons. Okay, Parminder has answered, sir, contract without contract. Rejection does not make any sense. Parminder, this can't be your reasons at the time of your mains examination. So you have to come up with a better explanation. So any section you can think of on this. Kajal, you are answering whichever reaches to A first. My question itself says that both the letters of acceptance and rejection, Mr. A received at the same time. अगर वो फर्स्ट वाला कॉन्सेप्ट आ जाता तो ये तो क्वेश्चन ही नहीं बनता फिर. I hope everyone is enjoying this one. Amit, again, the same which I have said to Kajal. There is no first and last. 20th December. Okay, let me tell you the timings as well. Same time, 1 PM. एक सेकंड का भी फर्क नहीं था. दोनों को एक ही पर्सन ने, दोनों टेलीग्राम भी एक ही पर्सन लेकर आया था, वो भी एक ही पर्सन लेकर आया था. अब क्या करोगे? सेम टाइम का मतलब होता है सेम डेट, सेम प्लेस. यस प्लीज. किसी ने ये क्वेश्चन सॉल्व नहीं किया पहले. दैट्स अ सरप्राइज. Okay, now let me answer, students. Now let me answer. Okay, now I'm answering this. Students, in that scenario, this will be treated as no contract. This will be treated as no contract. Now coming to the reasons why no contract. Because we will give priority to letter of rejection. Now why, sir? Why we will give priority to letter of rejection? You can read the illustration of section number 5 and let me show you the kind of the same wordings. See, At any time, before or at the moment, which means same time, so that is why it will be treated as a rejection. I hope now it is clear. At the moment, and these are the wordings from your illustration only. These are the wordings from your illustration only of section number 5, so you can cross check as well. So I hope I rest my case and everyone is convinced on this one. Parminder, I hope it's clear now. Okay, Amit, I am repeating myself. Amit, when you are going to read section number 5, there is an illustration, and the illustration says till what moment you can revoke. So at any time you can revoke, before or at the moment. Before matlab before or at the moment. Just do remember these two words, before or at the moment, and these are the words from illustration of section number 5, before or at the moment. Now I'm going back to this. Now you tell me, Amit, you answer me in the comments. अगर ये लेटर 20th को नहीं, ये 19th को पहुंचा होता, तो आप लेटर ऑफ रिजेक्शन को प्रायोरिटी देते या लेटर ऑफ एक्सेप्टेंस को? यू टेल मी इन द कमेंट्स. आफ्टर दैट आई विल कम टू द नेक्स्ट वन. Amit, waiting for your answer. टुडे इवन आई गेस कि मेरा नेट भी स्लो चल रहा है, क्योंकि मुझे भी थोड़ा सा रिफ्रेश करना पड़ रहा है बार बार. वंडरफुल आंसर अमित. आपने कहा लेटर ऑफ रिजेक्शन, विच मीन्स कि बिफोर था. नाउ आई एम टेकिंग यू बैक टू दिस वर्ड. Why you have said rejection? क्योंकि before था. Now at the moment, which means at the moment here means both letter reach on the same date, same time, which is 20th December. तो हम priority किसको देंगे? We will treat that as letter of rejection, and there will be no contract. That you can read section 5 as well. वहां पर यही लिखा हुआ है. Illustration. Done? Anything else, students, which is not clear to you? I'm done for the day. Now I'll just make some announcements and conclude this class. I guess I have answered everyone. Yes, Amit, rejection will prevail, and you can write this in your reasons. Illustration of section 5 says so. That is why. Yes, Amit, answer to your question, yes. Okay, so if I have answered everyone, so let's conclude this class. So students, this is the link of my profile. Please do follow that to get all the updates about my special classes and about my plus courses. This is my Telegram channel where you can connect with me. All you need to do is just open your Telegram app, and in the search bar, search for my name, Sandeep, Sandeep, K for Khatri, my surname, UA, Unacademy, and you will reach to my channel, or you can use this link as well. This is my code KHATRILIVE, which you can use to get free access of all the special classes available on Unacademy app, and also to get 10% discount for all the plus courses. So this is the schedule of my classes as of now. See, these are the special classes going on from Monday to Friday 10 to 11, where I'm talking about the current affairs. And there is a special classes starting from tomorrow itself, that is revisional classes on IPC. So these are again special classes. This plus course is starting from 23rd. The course is already live, but these are the plus classes. Okay. And one more plus classes which are going on from Monday to Friday, that is on CRPC. And contract we are doing itself. This is the second class which I'm taking on Contract Act. Okay. So this is the schedule of my classes. So let's crack PCS J with Unacademy. Compete with thousands of aspirants and stand out from the crowd. You will get all the subject students in special classes, all your major subjects, minor, local laws, family laws, everything is available for you. These are some interesting special class features, interactive live classes, poll for learners. You can raise your hand and you can actually communicate with the educator as well. You will get the notification, so you will not miss any of the classes. You will get the lecture notes and you can access them anytime, anywhere. And this is the pricing plan and the plus subscription, students. You can always use the code KHATRILIVE for 10% off. And once you're a subscriber, you can attend all these classes. This is the YouTube and the Telegram channel of Unacademy. And on that note, students, thank you very much. Like, share, and subscribe. And yes, it's time to say peace.